What we can read from the water's story carved on the ancient stone? When myths and giants faded, how did we define time? Do rivers divide us or connect us? Can we tame the waters without losing the wonder? As rivers flow through our cities, what futures do they carry? As early as the 3rd to 2nd century BCE, records in China show that humans were already settling near water and using rivers to define territorial boundaries. Where land emerges from waters, ancient Chinese lexicon area gives names by the measure of emergence. Habitable lands, Zhou, defined where water meets human dwelling. While ancient Egyptians channeled the Nile River's branches into territorial units called nomes, establishing temple-centric city-states. Rivers' distinct courses and abundant resources made them natural boundaries for territorial division by successive rulers. They also became sites where military campaigns and rebellions were staged throughout history. In the mid-13th century, the Yangtze and Nile faced parallel threats. Mongol armies advanced simultaneously toward China's Diaoyu fortress and Egypt's frontier. In 1259, on the Eastern Front, Mongol leader Mongke Khan led elite forces in fierce assaults on Diaoyu fortress along the Jialing River. Should this fortress fall, the Southern Song's strategic position would collapse into peril. Yet the tide turned abruptly here. Mongke Khan's sudden death beneath the fortress walls halted the Mongol offensive. The Eastern Front forces withdrew northward, while the Western Expeditionary Army retreated from Egyptian border, ultimately abandoning their campaign.
This small mountain fortress, less than 400 meters high, looks normal at first. I really wonder what kept this uneven battle going for 36 years.
Diaoyu Fortress, situated in present-day Hechuan district of Chongqing, is perched atop Diaoyu Mountain. Surrounded by water on 3 sides, this natural configuration created formidable defensive topography. The landscape provided inherent tactical advantages against invading forces. As Mongol forces breached Sichuan region's defenses and seized 54 townships, in 1242, General Yu Jie formed Southern Song dynasty, relocated defensive operations to Chongqing. There, he established an innovative mountain city defense system. Brothers Jin and Rampu mobilized civilians from 5 counties under Huzhou jurisdiction. Hewing rock from the cliffs of Diaoyu Mountain, they fortified the heights to construct a stronghold. Within months, a mountain fortress rose like bronze walls at the convergence of 3 rivers, its northern, western, and southern flanks embraced by Yangtze tributaries, while the east stood defined by serried hills crisscrossed with ravines. Diaoyu Fortress rose in 3 defensive tiers along the mountainside. A linear stone wall thrust deep into the river's heart formed its foundation. A naval dockyard where warships could anchor and troops garrison. Mid-slope, outer walls fused with sheer cliffs to seal every mountain path. At the summit peak, barracks stood sentinel over the three rivers' confluence, commanding a strategic overview that turned this landscape into the Song military's formidable advantage against Mongol forces.
钓鱼城呢，因钓鱼台而得名，在钓鱼台上呢，保存有完好的军事设施的遗址和生活设施的遗址。在宋蒙战争时期呢，后勤保障、粮食加工尤为重要。那么这里呢，也是我们宋蒙战争时期跟战结合、坚持抗战的最好的例证。
The administrative units of Zhejiang Prefecture and Shujiao County were relocated to Diaoyu Fortress. There, troops were garrisoned, provisions stockpiled, and capable strategists recruited, thus commencing the fortress's 36-year defensive stand. The north-south linear stone wall and the summit's inner-outer battlements formed a multi-layered barrier. Integrated with the city's comprehensive logistical support facilities and civic military frameworks, they granted Song troops a dynamic defense-offense capability, cementing it as an exemplar of global mountain defense systems of that era, and buttressing a pivotal stronghold against Mongol forces. Iron-cased bombs were one of the cores to this defense system. In 2006, more than 80 fragments were unearthed in an ancient tunnel beneath the fortress's northwestern sector. Technical analysis and historical records confirm Song troops deployed these bombs to counter Mongol tunnel assaults. Based on shrapnel distribution density, archaeologists estimate dozens to hundreds were detonated in combat.
钓鱼城呢，是中国古代冷兵器时代与热兵器时代交替的一个重要的见证地。那么在宋蒙战争时期，宋蒙军民就利用这片原石上的窝坑来制造火药。他们将木炭、硝磺、硫磺研磨之后呢，混合而成火药。那么这里呢，也被誉为我们南宋最古老的兵工厂。那么这些火药呢，在南宋的钓鱼城之战当中得到了充分的运用。这是宋蒙战争时期南宋军民的重型武器抛石机。那么这个抛石机抛射的这个弹药呢，是一块垒石。这个垒石实际上是一块填满火药的垒石。那么通过杠杆的作用，就抛向城外打击敌人。这也充分说明了当时火药已经在军事上得到了充分的运用。
In 1259, Monka Khan died suddenly beneath Diaoyu Fortress. Some historical accounts attribute his death to artillery blast winds, while archaeological evidence suggests iron bomb shockwaves likely caused fatal trauma. Upon learning of Monka's death at Eju, his fourth brother Kublai immediately withdrew troops northward to contend for succession, instantly relieving the southern Song's crisis. Simultaneously, Wulagu, the sixth brother, then campaigning from Persia toward North Africa, also withdrew troops and planned to return northward to the steppes. Monka's death fractured the Mongol expansion, creating a pivotal turning point for the southern Song and world history. this disruption reshaped political landscapes across Europe and the Middle East, irrevocably altering global development trajectories.
The Battle of Diaoyu Fortress stopped the Mongols from reaching Africa, which amazed me. In ancient Egypt, there was a pharaoh whose victories also influenced the world map of his time.
Thutmose III, the military strategist of Egypt's 18th dynasty, led the kingdom to the height of its imperial power. His conquests were immortalized in the Karnak Temple, a colossal stone epic spanning 2,000 years of expansion and covering an area equivalent to 140 football fields. The rise of this renowned pharaoh came after years of political obscurity. Hatshepsut, ancient Egypt's most powerful female pharaoh and co-regent of Thutmose III, sidelined his authority during her reign. To assert her own power, she erected a 29-meter-tall obelisk at the Karnak Temple, an enduring symbol of her rule. This obelisk was no easy feat. It took craftsmen 7 months to quarry the 323-ton granite monolith in Aswan, which was then transported over 150 kilometers along the Nile to be erected at the heart of the Karnak Temple. However, after Thutmose III assumed full power, he erased many of Hatshepsut's monuments, including parts of the inscriptions on this very obelisk. Hatshepsut advocated for a reign of peace. Through maritime expeditions to the land of Punt, she brought back gold, spices, and exotic treasures to Egypt. However, by the end of her rule, Egypt's influence in Asia had begun to decline. In 1457 BCE, city-states led by Kadesh rose in rebellion. At that moment, Thutmose III personally led a military campaign into Canaan. The most pivotal clash of this campaign, the first battle in human history to be recorded in detail, is carved into the walls of the Karnak Temple.
King Thutmose III, he did 17 campaigns outside of Egypt, but the famous one is the Battle of Megiddo. Yeah, in between the Egyptian army and also the Syrian armies, plus the other armies from the different towns surround that. Because also it was one of the greatest battle, and he was the winner by the help of God Ammon and the God Ra too.
Megiddo was a strategic fortress commanding the trade and military routes to Lebanon and the Euphrates. Perched atop a rugged hill, its Aruna Pass served as the narrow choke point between the highlands and the plains, tight and perilous to navigate.
And also before Megiddo city, he did a campaign for his army to be as the first campaign. And during his campaign, he did a meeting, like a military council meeting, to have a big discussion about the war and also the plan of the war, how he attacks the city, because also the Syrians collect their armies and the soldiers inside the city and also outside of the city. So they decided, we will take the Aruna or Aruna mountain, and there is a very narrow way. This narrow way allowed for one soldier after soldier and horse after horse. This is very, very, very difficult and a very, very dangerous way for the Egyptian army. But the king, he chose this way to reach the Megiddo.
It was a high-stakes gamble. If ambushed, Egypt's most elite forces would be utterly annihilated. The Egyptian army marched in secret and suddenly emerged onto the plains of Megiddo. At dawn, their well-trained forces launched a flanking assault, sending the panicked coalition troops fleeing back into the city. Thutmose III besieged Megiddo for 7 months, eventually taking the city. After that, he expanded Egypt's territory significantly into Syria and Nubia.
Thutmose III didn't just conquer new land, he turned victory into something timeless. The gold, the treasures, the prisoners of war not only just fill Egypt's coffers, but also build temples, inspire artists, and sparkle the golden age of the culture.
The great benefits of the battles of Thutmose III and his campaigns outside of Egypt, he collected a lot of things, good things, like golds and also many good things every year comes from the abroad of Egypt to construct many temples, like what we have here in the construction of Karnak temples. As I mentioned, Thutmose III, he did construction inside Karnak temples for 30% of the temples during his reign. Egypt became a richest country of all the ancient world in that time. So he designed his temple inside Karnak temples to be as a royal tents, and even the pillars and the columns inside looks like the wooden beams to carry the tent.
To ancient Egyptians, the Nile was more than a lifeline. It was a strategic masterpiece. Thutmose III's genius lay in reading the river's language, turning its wisdom into the foundation of an empire.
There is a big relationship in between the structure of Karnak temples and the river Nile water. This relationship is talking about when the river Nile water start to be shifted at the western side area, we can see the structure of Karnak temples extended to the western side area also. And when the river Nile start to be stopped to moving or shifted to western side area, we can see the structure of Karnak temples extended to the south area. For that reason, Karnak temples consists of 2 axes. Recently, we discovered the harbor of Karnak temples is dating back to 18th dynasty, during the time of Thutmose III. And also, we discovered the great embankment, or the dam. He constructed this dam for more protection from the Karnak structure, from the flood water, and also from the Nile water.
One stands by the Nile, the other by the Yangtze. Karnak witnessed the glory of the land, while Diaoyu Fortress defended the dignity of a nation. War changes history, while rivers keep civilizations flowing.
Today, humanity harnesses great rivers to achieve shared water resources, collaborative governance, and even regional economic integration. The unceasing flow of rivers generates a cohesion that far outweighs the divisions or destruction they may bring. Rivers, with their eternal and boundless embrace, nourish all living things and give rise to vitality. They remind us that the essence of life lies in harmony, not opposition.